सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
These are early days in the unfolding situation as yet, but three things can safely be said about the India-US relations in the wake of the Gurpatwant Singh Pannun issue. One, that both sides do not want this spinning out of control or onto an emotional plane. Accordingly, both have made sure that temperatures do not rise. Each has kept emotion out of this argument. Two, each is giving the other political and diplomatic space. India to the US by expressing concern over the charges, not dismissing these outright as fake and promising a high-level inquiry. The US to India by saying it appreciates its response, that the inquiry is a positive step and it awaits the outcome. And three, both sides now stand reminded and alerted that behind the ceremony and celebration of their essential strategic partnership, summits and joint declarations, they have their own compulsions and sometimes contradictory needs in the national interest, in their respective national interest. This partnership, deepen as it does, it's a far cry. We have to understand it's a far cry from Five Eyes kind of equation. That said, we would like to believe at this point that there is a de-escalation of sorts on the way. It is not fair for me to make any guesses at this point or as to why, but there has to be a reason why our Warrior News TV channels have mostly overlooked the issue, which would be so tempting for their usual primetime shout rages. Why have they done it? I don't know. You can guess. What this relative quiet does is that it gives both sides the diplomatic space they need to protect their relationship. This space and respite should be even more valuable for us in India and to the Modi government, because whatever the challenge of Sikh radicalism and separatism might be, it is India's problem much more than America's or Canada's or Britain's. What the self-styled Khalistanis say or do there does irritate and anger India, but anything substantive any of them can do will be on Indian territory, mostly in Punjab and within the Sikh community. The war against them, against these elements, is a war of ideas and politics, and it will need to be fought here. It will be short-sighted for India to be distracted by any skirmishes in British Columbia or in some part of the US or Britain. Once we calm down, we might find a moment to reflect on the sequence of events that landed the India-US relationship with an indictment in a New York courtroom. We need to hold our horses, such as they might be, take a deep breath and reassess. Where did we start and how did we get here? Can I dare to suggest that this could be described as a journey downhill from the early days of the farmers' protests on the outskirts of Delhi to the New York courtroom now? It would also be my argument that the Modi government misread the farmers' protests from the very beginning. That led to a series of missteps that lost it the battle of the day when it was forced to withdraw all the bills, unfortunately. We still believe at The Print, and I personally still believe, that these laws were the reform the farmers of Punjab, especially the surplus producing farmers, needed. Modi government repealing these under pressure was a great national loss, and once again I submit it was because of the Modi government's initial misreading of the protests and a series of mistakes, errors, missteps, whatever you call them, that followed. The first misreading came from seeing the farmers' protests as being driven primarily by radical Sikh sentiment. This despite the fact that almost the entire protest leadership in early stages consisted of left-oriented farmers' unions. Possibly because of the presence of religious symbols and slogans. In Punjab, by the way, you can find them anywhere, even at sporting events. Many in the BJP concluded too early that the primary impulse behind the protests was religious and separatist. This is in spite of the fact that the activists who the BJP had already become familiar with during the CAA NRC protests and who landed up at the farmers' protests now, they were also inclined to the left. The BJP already saw these subversive adversaries armed with deadly toolkits, as they call them, toolkits, remember? They were therefore not going to negotiate with any leaders of the left unions, and the religious leadership was never available to talk to for the simple reason that it did not exist. The second misreading was that soon enough the protesters would tire or be driven away by the elements, by the cold, the monsoon or the heat. It was a total lack of understanding of the Punjabi and Sikh determination. The older leaders in the BJP should have known how the Sikhs fought during the emergency, going to jail, Jatha, that's a group, Jatha after Jatha of followers. Their followers became the largest group in Indira Gandhi's jails after the RSS. The problem in the BJP is probably that the old timers do not matter, and definitely nobody ever goes to check things out with the Margdarshak Mandal. The centre let the situation drift, waiting for fatigue to set in, but protesters' numbers only grew and many city of sorts with containers and tents came up with air conditioners and many with TVs along the highways leading to Delhi. The BJP government's third failure was in not having any Sikh or Punjabi interlocutors to negotiate on its behalf. It had dumped its oldest partner, the Shiromani Akali Dal in Punjab, and it would never reach out to the Congress government which ruled the state then. It was in this vacuum that the stars of Punjabi pop, Sikh social media influencers overseas, Greta Thunberg, even Mia Khalifa, none of them had any stakes at all here. They all moved in. This is where the Nijjars and the Pannus also waded in. Now draw a line from the bottom of this balance sheet for the Modi government. All you see is red. The battle of perception was lost in global public opinion, and much as it claims it doesn't care about the Western media or activists, the fact is it's been chafing as hell. It became even more unpopular in Punjab. It drove its old Akali allies further away. It made the Sikhs even angrier with it. And at the end of the day, it withdrew all the bills unconditionally. That's the reason I said all red. The farmers went back victorious, but Punjab's political balance had been reset. They discussed with all established parties, put the Aam Aadmi Party in power. The BJP's own 24/7 political combatants instinct kept it in a state of war with the Aam Aadmi Party through these years. The BJP is now at constant war with the most credible and popular political force in Punjab, that is the Aam Aadmi Party. It isn't as if the BJP does not realize the severe disadvantage of not having any Sikh, especially Jat Sikh leaders who hold the key to power in Punjab. They may be 20%, but they hold the key to power. That's why they've imported some from Congress, Captain Amrinder Singh and former Finance Minister Manpreet Badal among them. And yet the BJP has not been able to build a foothold in the state. Frustrated at its failure to get a foothold in Punjab, it has shifted the battle overseas, fighting noisy, headline-hunting non-entities like Pannun and Nijjar, who occasionally may be able to instigate some trouble at home, or in case of Nijjar, even the odd assassination. But these cannot collect 5,000 people to the call of Khalistan in Punjab. Some threat in the state was represented by Amritpal Singh. His arrest and the lack of protest or violence in the wake of his arrest, these showed that Khalistan popularity or the talk of popularity was hollow. But the Modi government's fighting the battle overseas has now internationalized a problem that does not even exist at home. The need, therefore, is to focus back on the state, as we have pointed out in many earlier articles, of which I'll share a link with you or share the links with you. The sense of stall, frustration, and loss of self-esteem in Punjab is deep and wide. The drug, immigration, gun-running gangs with music culture complicate the situation, and then Pakistan-backed overseas radicals are taking advantage of it. This is where the BJP needs to reach out. And never mind that the Punjabis still won't vote for it. Working with credible political forces in Punjab, let they be your adversaries, would serve the national interest much better than landing in foreign courtrooms.